Yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon.
That means we're back
Oh.
for Die Hard December. If you're watching this when this goes live, Merry Christmas Eve.
Merry Christmas, it's time to... This is the first.
The first one to move out of Christmas.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's actually in the summertime.
Yeah.
But we are doing the third Die Hard movie, if you've been following along.
Die Hard
with a Vengeance. I think we can easily say that this is probably the second best out of the four.
Yes.
Again, we're not doing the fifth.
No. Refuse.
So first things first, we see John McClane as a very different John McClane in this movie.
Yeah, kind of weird that we were like, we went the level of where he, because it seems like he was at this place in the first movie, things got better, and then somehow regressed between Die Hard 2 and this movie.
He seemed like in the first movie that he was still kind of trying to reconcile with her, that there was that hope. He hadn't just devolved into alcoholism and shit like he does in the third one. And then the second one, they're together. By the end of the third one, he's trying to reconcile with her again. But at the beginning of the third one, he is devolved into alcoholism. He doesn't care. He has lost. He's suspended by the police force for whatever reason. They never really say, but you can assume. And he just doesn't give a shit. So we see a John McClane that is literally at the end of his rope. He doesn't care. And that's when everything really fucking... And he goes, maybe I should have cared about shit before because now this is happening.
Yeah. Because Nakatomi, man. We didn't really talk about it with the second movie, but like they kept alluding to an interview he did on like Nightline or something. And so... I've always wondered what that was. But, Nakatomi really fucked up his life because he's always the hero cop, and it caught up with him in this third movie.
So I think, again, first things first is that, we do... we bring John McTiernan back, which is a good decision. And I think the reason why this movie stands out so much better than the second one is because of the practical effects.
Well,
almost all of the effects and explosions and crashes and everything in this movie almost are practical. They really made this stuff happen. They really made this thing blow up and all that shit.
I also think it's because they took, like we talked about last week, where they actually made a choice to be like, okay, we're going to make this whole thing Nakatomi Tower. We're going to make him have to go across Manhattan and like, because he talks excuse me. In those first movies, he talks so fondly about New York, but we never see him ever in New York. So
right. This is nice.
Yeah, this is fun to see him back in his element.
Yes.
And it does such a good job of making the city a character. And like, I mean, Samuel Jackson was such a great choice to be in this too. Zeus is great.
Jeremy Irons fucking kills it.
I mean, following up Alan Rickman with Jeremy Irons, like in the Gruber family, like, oh, sheesh.
And ultimately, and I suppose we should do Pizza Time, but the movie's fucking 20 years old, so fuck you. Do the boo fuck you, will you?
This is why
if you don't know how this movie ends,
you need your own soundboard.
Ew, fuck you. It's been like 20 years, dude. But ultimately, this is the same general plot as the first one, but instead of, like you said, instead of being in a tower, it's across Manhattan. The stakes are a lot larger. We're talking 180 billion, I think, is what they said at one point, and I think it was like 13 million in the first one. And ultimately, it's a terrorist who is just out to get money.
Yeah.
He's acting like a terrorist, just like his brother did. And he does at the very end. He puts the recording to the Coast Guard, and it's a bunch of bullshit about how he's going to spread the gold along Long Island Harbor, on the floor of Long Island Harbor. And he's bullshitting because it's all scrap metal.
Yeah.
Ultimately, all he wants to do is get his own money. He just wants to get money. And that really is it's nice when, hey, JJ, Pay attention, motherfucker. It's nice when you can take a movie and hit the beats of that movie, but not recreate the whole fucking movie.
Well, because
jackass.
It breaks down and defines what makes John McClane McClane, and what makes him good is or what makes his character tick, and you find out like what's he good at, somehow surviving crazy situations.
Yep.
And also finding
He's great at thinking on his feet.
He's great at improv, but he's also great at finding differences and noticing things.
He's definitely
he's very insightful.
He's very observational. He's not quite like Sherlock Holmes, but there are things that happen like when he's on the elevator with all the all the bad guys, and he notices in the mirror that the fucking one guy is wearing his buddy's badge. And instead of being like, panicking, he does, hey, did you play the lottery number last night? You know how many guys play the lottery? And then he just fucking shoots them all.
Yeah.
Like, that's cool as fuck. And if he doesn't notice that, he's dead. The quarters thing, he always notices. Everybody's got 10 quarters. Everybody, all this stuff. I mean, there's so many moments in both the first and third movies, and some in the second, but the second is mainly I'm kicking ass, but the first and third, you really get a sense of he's a good cop because he notices shit that others don't. And he survives Nakatomi, and he survives this chase across Manhattan because he's noticing shit that other people don't. If he wasn't noticing that shit, he's dead in the first movie a lot of times.
Mm-hmm. So
I think you have, besides the first one, you have the most pure representation of that John McClane character in this movie.
Yeah. Not
only is he in his element like you're talking about, which is great to see, but also he's working the show. He's getting, he's the reason why this guy is doing all this shit is because of him, and he knows that people are going to get hurt because of him, and he knows he has really no choice. He has to stop this guy before he hurts anybody else. He can't have that on his conscience.
So, bold strategy to open the movie with that. We get the explosions and stuff, but we get the scene with him at the sandwich board, and the message.
We learn a little bit about him in the truck first.
We won't say what it says. Look it up.
Yeah. But we learn a little bit about his situation, the way he is now in the truck. They're basically the guys, they're kind of sick of him. They're sick of John McClane. Yeah. They're sick of having to work for him. They're sick of having to direct him. The inspector guy, they like him. He's a good cop, but they're kind of sick of his antics. They're kind of sick of his shit.
Yeah.
And, so we learn a little bit more about him and what is happening. We don't know how long after the second one this takes place. It could be like most movies do, which the second one was in 1990, and this one is 95.
Yeah.
So it could be 5 years. But it's never really referenced or anything. But again, what do you think about my assessment that the reason why this movie does so much better than the second one is because of all the practical effects and how much better that looks on screen?
I mean, it's McTiernan. McTiernan, had some really good action movies, and it looks great. And honestly, for me, it's just the fact that they, again, just like we talked about with every episode, this was a different movie, and the fact that we do something different while still, like we talked about with the second movie, not having to hit every beat. I don't know why. I'm sure there's a story why Holly is not in this. Like, unless that was a conscious decision to be like, we just don't need to put her in the script. And because it does seem kind of weird that they break up, they're not together in the third movie, and I'm pretty sure she doesn't show up in the fourth movie.
Or the fifth, and that's with his son.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. The fourth movie's his daughter, and the fifth movie's his son. So it comes back, I guess.
Well, here's what I would say about it. I don't know anything about whether it was contract negotiations or whatever with Bonnie Bedelia. I really don't know. I do know that this movie works without her.
Yeah, it works just fine without her.
The first two movies don't work without her, though. I don't think. The first one, definitely not.
Yeah.
The second one, maybe, but you have to have that element of, like, he's racing against time. Yeah. And we talked about the second one, how there's a time limit
Yeah.
and what made that movie good. This is great because there's a bunch of different time limits.
Yeah.
There's you got to do this
Well,
in
it's
20
just funny
minutes. You
because
gotta
it's
do
like
this.
John McClane versus the Riddler, where it's like you got to figure out these fucking puzzles to defuse these bombs. It is.
It is, dude. It's fucking great.
And it works. It works. And I'm like, this would be a good Batman movie. That's what I kept thinking. But
It would actually. Holy shit.
So yeah, you have that scene, but then you have how
Batman's real name is Bruce Wayne, and John McClane, the guy who plays him, is named Bruce Willis. Coincidence?
I think not. When I wrote the script, I was reading a lot of Batman books, so I
was reading a lot of Dark Knight
that Riddler
Returns.
guy. He's
I
interesting.
was reading a lot of Batman from the 1970s.
And it also helped that in between my writing sessions, I was
Crack cocaine.
Smoking. You have to.
no, I was not smoking.
You were
Crack cocaine.
You were
I
crack?
was the crack cocaine. I don't know
I
what.
smoked so much I became it.
By the way, don't know the writer of this movie. It does not sound like that. I don't know why I made that
It's
character out of
D'Souza,
nowhere.
I believe.
No, it's
Or
not
is he a
D'Souza.
producer?
Yeah, it's a different dude. It's like John Hensley or something like that.
Some douche.
Maybe I should pull it up. But I like how Sam Jackson is introduced. I like how Zeus is introduced in this movie because the funny line of like, some other people are going to show up and see this, and you're not. How do
You get about 10 seconds
Yeah.
before those motherfuckers see it and come, and they're gonna kill you.
Yeah. And then he's like, "Hey,"
Start acting crazy,
which
and he tries, but then
Yeah.
they break a fucking bottle over his head.
yeah, and
cut Zeus.
Here's the thing.
Hmm.
I get what this is going for, being in Harlem and doing that, but it's like you didn't have to say that. You didn't have to put that on there. You could have put something else, and it would have been just as like "fuck Harlem" would have been effective. I feel like, or I hate black people.
Hey, I don't know, and I'm not a mastermind villain or anything, but if I
it is John. It's
if
John
I was
Henson,
in control,
screenwriter.
if I could make somebody do something and I wanted them to die like messily, I think the best way to do it is to make them go to Harlem wearing a sign that has the N-word on it. Sorry. A white dude especially.
Yeah, he's dead. I mean, rightfully so. You can't be saying shit like that, man. You can't be saying shit like that.
If I'm a black dude hanging out in Harlem and some white dude walks by with a sandwich board, I'm going to kill him
So let's
too.
talk about that, because this movie has a weird, I don't want to say weird, of its time, nuance with racism and race.
There's a lot of back and forth with that. And to me, it's a good conversation. There are parts where, he does realize. There's parts where McClane says something and Zeus pushes back on him and he's like, hey, forgive me or whatever. And then there's other times when they're trying to, unlock the cuffs. And he's like,
Yeah.
you know how to pick this lock? Yeah, because I'm black. Like, stop with the racist shit. Are you not a fucking locksmith? Oh, yeah, I am. Then shut up and fucking pick the, you know what I mean? Like, I get that. And then at one point, McClane calls Zeus a racist.
Yeah, I'm like, come on.
Now we're getting along with the Vivek Ramaswamy shit. Reverse racism is racism. Hey, here's what I got to say as a white person, and not being a racist myself, I don't understand what it's like to grow up not white in this country. I don't know what that's like. I do know that a lot of white people are very racist and very vocal about it in certain parts of the country, and that a lot of young, not white people have experienced racism and then throughout their lives. By the time they're adults, I wouldn't blame them for being fucking sick of white people, okay? All right? Okay? I'm fine with it.
Also,
But if you are a white person and you get upset at somebody who's not white for trying to be racist towards you, whether it's effective or not, you're a fucking asshole, okay? Here's why. White people have never been oppressed, motherfucker. So you can just take a fucking honky or a cracker every once in a while. Okay, asshole, you can just take it.
Personally,
Just
I
fucking
find
take
it funny.
That's fine, but you can
Call me
take
a
it,
cracker. It's funny.
and you don't have to be like, oh, that's racism. Fuck you.
We're gonna get banned for saying cracker.
Great.
You
Honky.
You racist.
Honky.
You racist.
Cracker honky. Is that what we're gonna get banned for? Really? By who? Nerdrotic? Fuck off. Point is that racism cannot really happen towards white people. I'm sorry, it can't. I'm really sorry.
Another.
Maybe in 100 years.
Can we get back to the?
And everything is flipped over, like, sociologically and whatever. Maybe it can happen, but it hasn't so far, and it's not looking very, whatever. So everybody who's white, calm the fuck down and accept that you, whether you use it or not, have white privilege, and just accept that we're kind of the assholes of the world.
All right.
Okay?
So anyway,
Thanks.
I was trying to get to another
I
funny.
said something very poignant.
I was trying to say another funny part of the movie is when he gives Zeus a gun.
Do you know how to fire it?
He's like, it's like, how do you use the gun? And he goes, do you not know how to use a gun? He's like, just because not all brothers know how to use a gun, motherfucker, is what he said.
Yeah.
He's like, just point and shoot.
No, he says, forgive me. Just point and shoot.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying, is that there's moments where he knows that he might have been off a little bit, and he's like, okay, well, fucking forgive me, but just
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I had to go off.
I know. I was like, jeez. I don't even
Well,
know
look,
where to go.
I'm tired of this argument, and I'm really fucking tired of Vivek Ramaswamy, man. Fucking Christ, Jesus, right? Reverse racism is. Shut up, just shut up, dude. Just shut your mouth.
Jeremy Irons is
Why are we
great
talking about
in
that
this.
asshole? Yeah, sorry.
And it's what's interesting too is like it takes a while before you actually see him.
Yes.
Like it's quite a while before you see him.
I
And-
believe that you first see him when he shows up to do the they show up at the Wall Street explosion, and they're posing as, I believe that's the first time we see him.
Yeah.
Although we might have seen him in the FBI file that they give him in the van. You remember that? When they pile him
Yeah.
into the van at one point,
Yeah.
and they're talking to him about Nakatomi, and it's the two FBI guys,
And
and
it's like, oh, it's Simon Gruber. You killed his brother.
He was
Oh, dude,
born
and the fucking line where
Peter.
McClane was like, I threw his brother off 30 stories or something. Didn't he say that? Like, I threw his brother off Nakatomi or something like that.
no, when they're talking, he's like, he's like, just because I didn't care about my brother doesn't mean I'm not going to take notice when some Irish flatfoot throws him off a building.
Oh, yeah.
Your brother was an asshole. He was an asshole. He was an asshole. Yes.
Fucking Jeremy Irons.
Jeremy
voice.
Irons has got the best voice.
It's so
like
good.
gruff, but it's like,
Yeah. But it's sophisticated.
ugh.
Just the right amount of gruffy. Dude, come on. You can't tell me he wasn't like the best voice for fucking Scar in The Lion King. Like, so good. Go listen to Be Prepared. It's a banger.
Be prepared.
And also, the Gruber lineage, man. To go from Alan Rickman to fucking Jeremy Irons. And it's a twist that is fun, and I like it. And it does what you see at the time, which truthfully, and like, I don't mind Live Free or Die Hard, but I truly feel like this should have been the last movie, because this feels like a trilogy. This feels like,
yes,
because it's tying him back to the first movie.
he's trying
And
to. At the very end, he's trying to reconcile with Holly again.
And most trilogy
Full
structure
circle.
is that. Most trilogy structure is you have the first movie, you get introduced to these characters, you like them, and then the second movie is you're trying something. Either you're gonna try and do a little bit more of what you did in the first. In this case, with Die Hard, you do more of what you did in the first, but you kind of have a different story that's still tied to it. But then that third movie finds ways to touch back on
And wraps a
the
lot of
first
it up.
movie and wraps up all this. And if it's done well, the second movie. But I think this movie just kind of ignores that second one. It just is like,
And that's fine.
it doesn't say it doesn't happen, but it's just like, we're not even going to bother with
They
it. Like,
reference Nakatomi many times in the third one and the second one, example, they reference Nakatomi a lot in the second one and the third one, right?
yeah.
Which is the first movie. At no point do they reference
The airport.
the airport in the third one. At no point in the fourth one do they reference Simon Says. I don't think.
I don't remember them referencing Simon Gruber.
I don't even think if they might. I'm sure they referenced Nakatomi at some point.
Why didn't they?
We'll find out next week.
What I want to know is why did they swap out? I feel like they could have got Samuel Jackson to come back.
Yeah, but Justin Long's character's
fine, but like.
I was pleasantly surprised actually because he played against.
Yeah, and I think what they learned from the third movie was like, well, why don't we, if we're gonna put him with someone that's the audience and react like a normal human being would be like, that doesn't make sense. How are you alive?
Yeah.
Most of the time, because let's be honest, that is Samuel Jackson's role. He said that in an interview. He's like, what made Zeus fun for me was when I realized, oh yeah, I'm the audience.
What was that Kevin Smith movie that he did with?
Okay, so
with
Kevin Smith
Tracy Morgan.
Kevin Smith is in Live Free or Die Hard.
He is,
and because of that, he has like a bit part in that.
Oh right.
He's like a computer.
Yeah,
hacker
right.
So they met there, and then the next year they made Cop Out with Tracy Morgan.
Cop Out, which is under fucking rated.
A lot of people hate it. I think it's fine.
It's really good.
It has its moments.
There's some pretty funny, dude. When you can't go. We'll have to do a review of this movie sometime because for really biting satire of buddy cop movies, you can't go any farther. Cop Out is great at that.
Are you really gonna defend Cop Out?
It's a fucking funny movie, and the satire is fucking point.
I haven't watched it.
I
haven't watched it in a long time.
There's so many times when I was just like, this is so Lethal Weapon, and they're making fun of it right now.
Anyway,
you know what I mean?
But
he hated making the movie. Is there anything else
you want to talk about with Die Hard?
Bruce Willis apparently hated making that movie, and they almost punched each other.
Yeah, Kevin Smith said he would lay in traffic for Tracy Morgan, but that's about it. He didn't say anything nice about Bruce Willis. So yeah, I mean, I feel like Bruce definitely got an ego because of these movies, and I think he kind of like. I don't think Bruce Willis was a dick the whole time, but there was definitely a few years where he was kind of a douche. But he was going through a divorce and stuff, and
I'm telling you, dude,
public. Well, I don't know if it was public, but
it wasn't. It wasn't.
They were still friendly,
right? It was very amicable. What I would say, to be honest, if any of you listening right now are like, where can I find real vintage Bruce Willis? Moonlighting. I'm serious. You should watch it too. Now. Granted, he's not on screen the entire episode, every episode, but when he's on screen, you're like, holy fuck. No wonder they got him for McClane. No wonder he became a movie star. He's
Can we talk about
brilliant.
Can we talk about
No, let's talk about Moonlighting and how much I don't like J.J. Abrams' take on Star Wars.
So let's talk about how this movie ends. Like towards the end. Where he gets him because he bought Advil. Like you know that? You remember the whole thing with that?
Yes.
And it's like
Nordalines.
Of all the unbelievable, crazy things in this movie, for 1995, that seemed like a lot. Now, super easy. But well, he's super careful the whole movie, and he well, I guess that would make sense. Like the one thing you wouldn't think.
Would he have even noticed that the bottom had that sticker? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
There's that, and then the other thing, up until that point, McClane knows that they're taking the gold somewhere.
Yeah.
So then he sees that, and he knows where it is because most New York cops probably know that one, truck stop right over the border in upstate New York. I mean, might have heard of it.
Yeah.
And hey, that's where they're fucking going,
We're going to Canada.
Yeah. Well, what does he say about Canada at the end? He says something like, "Who knew Canada was this much fun?" or something like that. When he's getting shot at by Irons with the fucking rail gun and shit, the M60 in the fucking big old belt. Did
you just see earlier I was having victory sex?
Yes.
You
interrupted my victory sex.
Nothing like sweet, sweet victory sex. And that's been our review of Die Hard with a Vengeance. Because quite honestly, I don't think you can go... I don't think
Nothing like sweet, sweet victory sex.
Even if you're a terrorist like Simon Gruber.
That was
Dude.
terrible. All right, I gotta
Could
go.
you imagine if he would have got in on ride sharing and been like Gruber? Instead of Uber, it's Gruber. Now that's dude, Jeremy Irons, Gruber. Like imagine that. Your self-driving car, but it's Simon Gruber talking to you. And Simon says,
we're going my way.
go left. But everywhere you're trying to get in your direction, it's a fucking riddle, and you're like, God damn it, Simon, just take me to. Come on, Gruber, I need to get to this party.
Gruber! Hey,
Well,
you know
good
what?
luck going to
We're launching a new aspect of Gruber this fall. We're going to start delivering food. It's called Gruber Eats.
the. You're gonna love it so much. It's Gruber Eats.
I'll eat your ass.
Damn it. With Gruber, I love to.
I'll eat your
It's
ass.
just not going to work.
It's not gonna work. I fucked it up.
With Gruber Eats, I'll eat your ass. Off panel, off topic with Jake and Tyler.